into it. Here we go. That's what we wanted. That's what we wanted. Slept good last night, huh? Kiva, you ready? You ready to go? Still sleeping, huh? Don't worry, go to sleep. It's okay. See Kiva sleeping too. Most of them sleeping. There's a lot of more. Most of them still out. I'm going to have two on the right. Allah's Father of universe. Father of love. Truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector. My guide. My salvation. By night. And by day. With his holy prophet. Islam.
I'm going to get this guy out of here. Huh? It's coming out. So, yeah, I know. That's one of the things I want to do here. I don't want to do it.
You put it on the.
Yeah, I think so. Not like on the.
Prophet warns all Muslims governors ordered to read proclamation at each meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical, agitated speeches while at work, on their homes, or in the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing your turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet noble Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Noble Ali. Islam. To be proclaimed at every meeting. Islam. I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now, by the same people of our side of the nation that claim that I was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me, so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds, the ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works which I have performed in the past few years, Prophet Noble Ali. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Islam, this is the instruction from your Prophet Noble Ali. Be faithful unto your forefathers' divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is now on, but the weak can comprehend it not. The end of time is drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, I Noble Ali. And that's why many hearts have been turned to stone. Many have eyes to see but cannot see, ears to hear but cannot hear, lest they will be confounded of their sins. These are trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving. and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but would sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. Peace. Your divine prophet, Noble Ali. Islam. So we'll just start up from over here and we'll go around that way and see how everybody's day was yesterday at the sixth annual Canaanland Mars barbecue.
It's good, man. It's just the energy. Very good. See a lot of Moors. That kind of something. A real church, should I say? A real church. That's what we need. An opportunity to relax and mingle amongst each other. For once not having to, always have to worry about the outside world. It's not outside of the matrix. It's out there kind of push. So that's what I got. That's what.
Today was a wonderful day. I was out with a lot of Moors, and there's a lot of good food there. My favorite part, food, all the options.
How many options?
A lot of options. I think I had everything. But yeah. Over by the water too. I like the scenery. Scenery was cool. Yeah.
It was my first time there, first time there. So it was nice to see so many more. It felt like a family reunion.
Yeah.
Just like getting to know everyone and reconnect. So I enjoyed that.
It's not.
For me, it was a buildup of the last couple outings we had. So, it started off small. Next one, more people came out. This one, it was really good to see people I haven't seen in a long time. Had a lot of some of the Moors from the chat groups and stuff. They were out, so it's better to see them in real life than WhatsApp. So that was cool.
That's what I noticed as well, putting faces to Appalachians games. It was nice. Beautiful day. Beautiful day. It was very nice. Thank you. The energy of the space was really grounded too. It just felt like this really cool vibe for the entire day. Didn't really shift much. I appreciated it. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Islam.
This is our sixth annual, and to me, the last two speakers here have sort of reflected what I have had as a vision for this nation in the prospect of doing cultural community things. And one of those standards for me, or at least one of the things that popped up maybe in my lower self, was a barbecue. So all of us who've been to all of these barbecues, there's a certain energy around it. It always has been like that. And so I was just happy to see that, yet again, it's proven to me that these things are needed. But just in particular, these last two speakers talking about this WhatsApp app, that's one of the things that I have also undertaken to do, just to fight this disconnected world that we seem to be in this communication through some kind of interface. So that has always been my goal. And just to let you know where my sort of place is, I'm thinking about things when you come to events and you drop yourself in a box, and then you come into the event. So that's where I'm going. Islam, I yield. Islam.
Yesterday was a great day for me, very great one. Before I leave, I was supposed to come with another person, but I've been calling and I'm getting them. But anyway, I took one bus, second bus, that's two. The subway, another bus, that's three. Another bus, that's four.
That was the journey,
Another
bro.
bus, that's five. And I was right there. Along the way with my travels, everyone is in a mask.
Right there.
I don't have none. One of my third bus, I see a lady look like me, come on the bus without her mask. The driver asked her, what about non-mask and stuff like that. And she said, I have it. And they start carrying her. And then she go her thing, get her mask and go to the back. None of these drivers ever say, actually, I asked them, tell them where I'm going, they actually direct me where to go. They don't ask me about no mask. No mask. But anyway, I get there, and something I haven't done for a long time. The earth. I was able to lay on the earth and sleep.
I saw that.
I sleep on the earth. I saw that. I haven't done that in years. So that was one of the greatest things for me. So much more to say about yesterday. I can't start. Just give you a little bit on my way there. When I got there, I was there.
It's love.
Brother Ray, you usually know another one that's us. Barbecue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Brother Q was saying, Sister was saying, like, it's good to put in the name to affirmation of body, physical body, because I've always been on the chat and saying, this more hasn't been there in a while, so it was good to see a lot of the more we haven't seen in years. Some of them I haven't seen since 2 barbecues ago. But yeah, it was good overall. No one bothered us. It seemed like every nation from every world was there.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
That was a good vibe, Really good food and a good vibe, No arguing or bickering, it's good vibes,
Nobody there was very nice.
Yeah, no one
Nobody was very nice. Like, you're free there. You're free.
Mother Nature, right?
Yeah.
Now I find it more. Yeah. So yeah, well, yesterday when I get there, it's like I'm just watching the people. I don't know what they did. Watching, not even like our people. Just watching all the other people ran over there, and it was like it was all Moors. Like they're all, you know what I mean? There's people from all different parts of life, but they're all Moors. People there, it's a lot. People there,
Yeah.
Chinese people there,
It was crazy. Yeah.
and I realized like there's just Moors here.
Yeah.
Every direction I'm looking. The only Europeans I really saw here, really, that I noticed was the people that came in the vest. The bylaw people.
Yeah.
And when they came, they were like so out of place. They felt out of place, and they didn't even want to intrude because they were so out of place. Just there was no need for them at all anywhere around there. Because first of all, nobody was running around, like you were saying, right? Nobody was like,
That's so sure.
yeah, it had nothing to do with them. They were just totally out of there. You just Moors that were there. So I was seeing I was seeing Moors there, right? When I was there, that was like, I mean, I was a little bit different, when you see, so that was like, yeah, that was cool. It's loud,
Yeah, I agree with what everybody said. It was like an escape being there. It was just completely blissful. I thought it was just nice being with all of you and everybody else. And it was just really, really peaceful. And
Yes.
nice to be in the nature. Yeah, it was great.
It was man was there as the 4th one, and it was great because it's funny where the event was just across the street. I pretty much spent most of my school years, so it was like wow, it's good to be. Well, it's like you're reliving some of the history that you partake in growing up, because those trees, I remember I used to be running out, climbing and jumping all over them, playing with my friends and brothers and sisters, and here you are amongst the family again, 20, 30 years later, reliving that sort of experience. It was good. Just again, just being with everyone and just, I guess, looking at the 2 tables of food and it's all vegan you can select from. So it was a great opportunity with everyone. So really appreciate that.
Yeah, Israel is a great community. Really like to be out somewhere like that more often.
Yeah.
Out of the coop, you know, the sleep free and everything. So, yeah, it's good for me. That's why I do it more often. That's it.
So,
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I thought, and I didn't want to leave. I kept hearing Mom look at me. As I was leaving, she just kept saying, "This is the life, this is the life." And over and over again. It's just, yeah. Really good people.
yeah, one of the things that stood out to why we were gonna do class today was what Brother Ernie said, with all these different, or Alfonso, all these different nations there, and all of them were doing some type of our level of being there. You know what I mean? Even though they're barbecuing, they're putting the meat on or whatever like that. They were there, they're doing their salat. Like, oh wow, it's just pretty interesting what's going on. You know, the energy of this place. Yeah. Right. So there was that family, but on a broader perspective.
And just like not but like I think they enjoyed their day. Like that made that day for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like like with just the energy, and you know, they never probably seen like that a lot of people, right?
Yeah, right. Because being there, because we were there from early, so everybody else was there while we were there setting up whatever, and there was a few people that came like, yo, what's going on, you know? And by the time, you know, 3-4 o'clock, you know, when we were up on the hill, and we were looking, and it was an interesting scene, just seeing the fezzes there, but then there's some over there, and then there's a fez like way down there or whatever, and knowing that, okay, this is what when they say nationhood or unity or whatever, and just brought to the mind again the constant repetition that Noble Drew Ali's the man. He knew exactly what he was talking about when he told us what he told us. All the lessons that he presented is right along with either things that happen, things that are going on right now, or things that are about to be revealed. You know, so when we had stepped away and we were at the back of the hill, and I looked down, I was like, yeah, this is the Holy Quran right now. You know, these are all the Asiatic nations amongst each other in some harmony. You know, just like saying, foreigner even came and they're like, let's just get out of here, because I don't know what's going on here, but
You said it was a policy?
yes, freedom. When was it? It was probably. It was probably before the food, right? Before the food got there.
Before the food?
Yeah.
After the food. Food already on the table when they got
food was on there?
It's around 3:30.
Okay, yeah.
That's why I was
After, yeah, you probably went to the vehicle, yeah, probably went to the vehicle, yeah.
They're watching from a distance from.
Yeah. They're there for a while, and you like you were saying.
They didn't actually.
And then did they walk actually through? They didn't.
No, they just came to the side, yeah, they kind of made up.
He even come inside one girl.
Well, I think we were also.
The rest of them are watching from a distance.
Some sense we were definitely adhering to what they wanted.
Yeah. Good.
Nothing.
Well, that's part of what the joke was, because we were trying to figure out. Okay, well, what are they looking for? You know what I mean? So the only thing that made sense was there was the one group under the trees, right? But there was 7 there, so they couldn't really say nothing, right? and then everybody else is sort of like, yeah, yo, the way they were there for a little bit. Yeah. They were there for a little bit.
Stay, brother.
They were there for a little bit, but they're just at the bottom of the hill to the right. Yeah, and they were there analyzing, and they walked over and then they stopped, then they look and then they walked a little bit more, then they went and they kind of congregated, and I guess they figured out who they're gonna send or whatever, and they sent the one lady, and she would just say, "Oh, just a reminder,
She said something.
yeah, just a reminder." Have a great time and whatever, and keep doing whatever.
Make sure she's told us to have a good time.
Yeah. Like she wasn't on some, what are you guys doing?
She didn't want to get a shirt when I was there.
Yeah.
She didn't want to break
Yeah.
She didn't want to reach that.
I'm not going in there. I don't know what's going on in there.
Have a good time, whatever.
Yeah. And she was out.
He's still at that point.
Yeah, pretty much.
Where's some black group? She's in trouble. Where's some Moorish? She's in trouble. Right?
Yeah.
And the rest of the people were all watching that too. All the variations people were watching people get out there, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just like
It's our crew. It was the most unique crew, and I think the most together too.
That's what's the most together.
Yeah.
That's what drew them. That's what drew them to us, obviously, because we're obviously starting to constitute a group greater than the numbers that they're looking at, right? And that's what I was talking to Kudu about in the morning, about how a large group of people are going to look like they're not a large group of people.
Right.
You guys naturally did that in a certain way, but I guess that's what drew them.
But yeah, when she came up there too, the flag was just waving in the wind too. You know what I mean? So she had to deal with that too.
I lost count.
They knew it wasn't just some people just gathered or whatever. There was something going on here.
It's the only way the people with a flag.
Yeah.
The nation with a flag is important.
Yeah.
That's a jurisdiction.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Too many babies.
Yeah.
She probably went down somewhere else and started giving people tickets. Right?
No, but wasn't it? I was just gonna ask. Yeah. That's where they went. That's where they took out their anger at the park. They shut the park down. Yeah. They shut the park. Yeah, the park, the swings or whatever. Yeah. After they left, children like, yo, forget this. What's going on this
Even the night they were here. I couldn't find him here.
Little man swinging to his new friend, Mr. How to Swing. Oh, my birthday was Wednesday last year. It's Friday. I couldn't drag him away from He's like, you ready to go? He's like, 5 more minutes. I'm like, all right. She got another.
Yep.
No, it's cool.
Yeah.
They really enjoyed themselves.
Yeah, the children had a great time.
So on that note too, we've been discussing somewhat so about having a children's retreat, sometime around the 22nd or maybe the 29th of August. Let's put August up there, bro. So we're looking to make it sort of like a programmed event. But obviously, unfortunately, the timing the way it is, actually no, July, August, end of August. So we got 6-7 weeks, but still that's really we're behind schedule if we would keep doing something like that, right? We have to have acknowledgement and funds in by the end of the month, more than likely. And even then, I don't even know if we can even rent it. I'm saying, theoretically speaking, this stuff would have to be happening really quickly, and we tend to have a habit of not reacting very quickly. So that's something to talk about, but I thought that it was a wonderful event. I think the only thing missing from it is us having more time. And that's why I think about having maybe something structured over a couple of days. As I said, so that's my plan. That's something to talk about because everyone seemed to have a really good time. So we just thought that organically came out of it, this time focusing on the children as what it's about. Having some scavenger hunt, bonfires, time down by the water, that kind of thing, right? Adults can be attending as well. There will obviously have to be some core group of those adults to hopefully facilitate the activities that we need to do. But then the other ones could be doing whatever. So it could be like that. One of the things though that I think, and we're talking about this, there was a wonderful experience there, but I think also there are people there that I've never seen before, right? Those are certain people that came in through, let's say, and this has been something that I'd like to discuss at another point, through the internet, right? People online have come in through this, not an issue, but then I'm thinking, well, if we're gonna have like something where you go away for a weekend, how do you determine which people should be able to go or not if there's certain people you've never met before? I kind of think there's a safety issue there, where if you're away at a cottage with some guy you've never met, now you're stuck there with some lunatic. You know what I mean? He decided to bring his guns up. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, that's just something to think about. Because as I'm saying, it's all, we laugh, but you know what I mean? It's like, hey, a good knife will do the same amount of stuff, right? Or someone just crazed off with their thing off of some argument. So anyways, and that's why I was saying about the children and how we make this all happen. So anyways, that's just something we're also having an In the Park series over the next 3 weeks where we'll be in various parks every other weekend. So that's what our plans are. But as I said, this offspring, let's say, appreciation retreat, we would have to be on this stuff for like the next week. And even still, we have to do some phone calls today to be made to see if it could be even theoretically possible. And then we can sort of get into it. But it's going to take something. But as I said, if you wanted to have that kind of result that you saw yesterday, especially with this kind of dynamic, it's going to take a little bit of more moving parts. But even still, this was to get that event to where it is. Certain guys are up for 24 to 36 hours. Certain people were up at 5 in the morning. Certain people were, you know what I mean? So there's certain infrastructure to it. So with that kind of thing, just to say, it's going to take some organization, especially with the offspring on certain levels, and how that should be expected to look. Like if they're not ready at 7, then the thing has to go on in a certain dynamic. Anyways, those kind of things, right? As long. But as I said, I think it's wonderful, and that to me is what the culture is about. Let's get out there. Kujo was saying, is like, what other cultures have these kind of things? I think to myself, what other, I was like, jerk fest. It's like, no, but that's a fest for the jerk. Jerk fest, right? That's a chicken fest, right? I mean, remember we were talking about that? And I'm saying, what about, you know, whatever. He's like, family all down. This is the one and only thing in a certain weird way where we are, though you saw the Hindustanis up there, but they were there, you realized they were doing that same day. I thought to myself, either they're doing the exact same thing as us, or that's family. Yeah. But one and the same, it's still family. You know, weird way. Whether those are a couple of families together, or one extended family, or just some guys part of a group, that's still a family. You saw where they were sitting. They were sitting like that, right? Anyways, it's
And we were there, and we said, come, because we were finishing off.
Well, that one that finally came right at the end of the picnic bench there?
It was like 7 already.
Yeah. I mean, that was some weird energy. I don't know whether, I felt some weird energy once people started to sit at our tables there as if sort of, I don't know, maybe somebody left, but sort of felt like they always wanted to be involved. They couldn't because, yeah, that was some of the energy.
But I think probably came for the food, but wasn't the social distancing, right? Some people would have probably passed away. That type of conversations. Those are different that you really track.
So that made me consider divine origin of the Asiatic nations chapter, and just getting some thoughts while we go through this, and also Egypt, the capital dominion, and end of times and fulfilling of the prophecies. Divine origin of the Asiatic nations. The fallen sons and daughters of the Asiatic nation of North America need to learn to love instead of hate, and to know of his higher self and lower self. This is the uniting of the Holy Quran of Mecca for teaching and instructing all Moorish Americans, etc. The key of civilization was and is in the hands of the Asiatic nations, the Moorish, who were the ancient Moabites and the founders of the holy city of Mecca, the Egyptians, who were the Hammatites and a direct descendant of Mizraim, the Arabians, the seed of Hagar, Japanese and Chinese, the Hindus of India, the descendants of the ancient Canaanites, Hittites, and Moabites from the land of Canaan, the Asiatic nations and countries of North, South, and Central America, the Moorish Americans and the Mexicans in North America, Brazilians, Argentinians, and Chileans in South America, Colombians, Nicaraguans, and the natives of San Salvador in Central America, etc. All of these are Muslims. The Turks are the true descendants of Hagar, who are the chief protectors of the Islamic creed of Mecca, beginning from Muhammad I, the founder of the uniting of Islam by the command of the great God Allah. So the acknowledgement that the sons and daughters of the Asiatic nation are falling. So we're the resurgence or the rise again of these fallen ancestors who, like we were saying yesterday, where we were situated made us the nucleus of everything going on yesterday. Now there was other benches that we saw, tables or whatever that, and there was something with that spot. Even from when Omar surveyed it, there was something about that spot. You know what I mean? And then where it was that when you had looked on the side of the, even one of the children pointed it out, when you looked on the side of the washroom going toward the street, and all those trees that were lined up right there, and it had this sort of like mystical, ancient architectural structure going through the pillars of the thing, the way when you looked across and the rolling hills or whatever, there was just a ancientness or whatever about it. And us being there, and then like we're saying, all these different, whether we look at it from a religious perspective or national perspective or whatever, there's all these different bodies there that are actually who Noble Drew Ali was telling us are going to be the ones that we're going to be able to look for, you know, whatever it is that we might need that we can't get from whoever else we've been talking to. And if the individuals in North America, when everybody was talking about the guys going to go with the guns marching at the KKK headquarters or whatever, and they're just standing there marching around the place with guns, that the people who own the spot gave them permission to go march around the place or whatever. So it's not like they just, you know, kicked the gates in and then they were just in there. You had to call the people, set up the thing. This is the KKK people. You have to call the KKK people to set up going and marching with guns on the KKK thing. A permit. Right? Like they can't just go there like that, because quote unquote that's their private property. They registered and they set up, they have their Stonewall Mountain and all this stuff, talking about how the amount of stone they got from this mountain, places in China got stone from that mountain. Like places all across the world, that particular mountain, and they got carvings of KKK founders on it and all this type of stuff. And majority of the stone taken from there was used here, but China in certain places got stone from here. Right now they're talking about it being some 300 million year old site or something like that. Right? Now, this is where the KKK headquarters or whatever is. So these guys go in there to march, and they're telling them that, oh yeah, we're in your house now. Why don't you come outside or whatever? Right? Now, the world already knows that these people are playing games, because just today did a little research on the dude there who was the founder of the people who went to march or whatever. And 2016, he ran for president. 2016, the guy who was doing the get the guns and the KKK, whatever, he just ran for president in 2016. Now he's revolutionary, whatever, and telling people, you don't raise your gun at anybody, but if somebody raises their gun, you kill them. This is where these people are going with their, bringing their little people.
Is that because of Boston race?
Well, that's what we're saying. That only makes sense, right? Why is he mad? Why are you mad? Obviously, there's more to him being mad than a guy got choked out on the corner or whatever. You know what I mean? Because there's no way that you had a campaign and all that stuff. You got a website and all that.
You like a European guy?
No, brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he was running for president.
Ran. He was gonna be. He was gonna be the second black president.
What you go by?
His whatever name he uses for the black whatever is Grandmaster J, the real Grandmaster J or something.
Okay.
Right?
That was a DJ guy?
Not even Run DMC guy.
Why did you choose that?
Right? Because he was okay. Anyways, this guy. So this guy is the head of the whatever. For these people going and marching up and down the place and not shooting at anything, just marching with guns or whatever. They had a few hundred people out there, you know, in all black or whatever like that, with the marching or whatever. Now, the world knows that's not nationalism. The world knows that that is not how the nation presents itself. For example, they had some stuff going on with the recording, and then while the recording is going on, you're hearing the sub leaders or whatever telling people fix their space in line and all that stuff. That's, you know, you're not doing that stuff live. If it's like that, and you got all the guns and all that stuff, there's no way you still have to tell people to fix their lines and tie your shoelace and all that type of stuff. You can't be for real. You know what I mean? They talk about, oh yeah, well, the people who are the military experts or whatever, you guys should be the only ones that are doing anything relative to whatever, because people out here aren't really experts like that. So make sure you protect them or whatever. What are you talking about? How is it that these people who are out there don't know? How don't they know? How are they getting on the job training and they're walking down the street with AR, whatever? They're getting on the job training. Now you're training people about this is how stuff is supposed to run. So the world knows that that's not nationalism. These people are just whatever they're doing, you don't know. Like Taj said, put a glass between us and them, we just live off those people forever. Because their priorities are in different places.
Some of them look like they didn't. I've seen a video briefly, and some of them look confused.
They don't know why
They don't know what they're there.
They don't know what they're doing. They're not so
Confused, walking up and down, walking back and forth.
Innocent people that they must have just, said, put out some call or whatever, you know what I mean? Anybody with a gun, show up to the thing. Here's the rules, you gotta follow the whatever, Okay, and then 200 people out there, but then some of these people aren't even military grade.
There were also unarmed people there.
Yeah,
standing
Yeah.
around in black.
And there was also Europeans there.
Oh, yes.
Is that the one where you say, is that the one where you say that if you're a tough guy, you like to go to the bar and fight?
No, not that one. No, not that one. That was a different one. That was a different one.
So then that goes to show you
That was a
that
different one.
the level of infiltration that they're dealing with in their thing, because if they have wolves like that, like maybe that's their overseers, right?
Right.
The overseers, making sure that they're doing their thing properly.
Mm-hmm. Because the expression that we had yesterday is a greater effect on the world than these people playing with guns or whatever. Right? Us exercising our social duties is greater than these people going and burning some stuff down to prove their point or whatever. Right? Because there's a certain expectation that they're looking at from the people who are the foremothers and forefathers that they know are the founders of civilization. And as soon as they, just like Moors know, as soon as they see the fez or whatever, right, and they're running up to say, oh, what's up, or where do you get that, or can I get one, or whatever, or they just stare.
Yeah, they have an expectation.
But they know what it's supposed to be in the interaction, right? And again, going back to with the divine origin of the Asiatic nations, the key of civilization was and is in the hands of the Asiatic nations. The keys to civilization is in our hands because we got the stuff handed down to us from foremothers and forefathers, who we know the world knows as the ancient Egyptians or whatever they call them. The people who built the pyramids, they lined up with the universe and all that stuff, and the hieroglyphics and all. That's the people who the Moors got all our stuff from. So being that we're that connected to them, and then now you're going to look at Egypt and all you see is pale people there. They know that there's certain obligations that they have to us, but we have to be living by the standard to get those obligations recognized, accepted, whatever, right? Like we have to be on the level of it. Like we're talking about how I was talking with one of the brothers yesterday at the thing about how do we be a Moor or whatever? And I was like, well, first of all, go get something to eat. Go you get your plate. Go chill. This is not a work day today. This is relax. There's lots of food over there. You got containers. You can take stuff home if you want. If you don't want to eat right now, but go do your food or whatever. So after you got the food or whatever, you came back. We were talking about how the same way the Sikh has his turban on, and you pass him and you don't even, it doesn't even register to you why he has it on, or how much cloth did he actually use to put that on? How long did it take him to like wrap? How come everything's so symmetrical and there's no hair sticking out, and the dynamics of the turban? You even go there, you just know automatic that, oh yeah, that's just his stuff, and he ain't nothing, right? Just how they know that, how we're supposed to know we're Moors. That regardless of what, we have the standard that was set up. And again, if we're using Juali as the standard, then we're in good shape if he's the standard. Because like we say, we have people who just ran for president, that's their standard. Or some people got some calypso singer guy, and that's their standard. Then some people got, some religious whoever, and then that's their standard. But the standard that Juali set is unmatched when it comes to those people and their standards, which is why there's been a lot of conversation with Moors even, that they're having a harder and harder time dealing with the Negroes.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not as easy anymore to sit down there and have a little hour conversation with them about, whatever we talk about.
No,
Like, it's not even at that place anymore where it's off the top. 5 minutes in, Moors know. Oh, all right, I'm not even dealing with it. You know.
I got so many brothers and sisters, man. And it's only my mother I could talk. I know it's only my last brother I can talk. The rest can half a talk, quarter talk, but they can't talk. They can't talk. Yeah.
I get asked all the time why I'm such a woman. Why do you sit by yourself?
And then all these are Muslims. Yes, all this stuff was going to my head when I was watching these people yesterday or whatever. And everybody sat out there, you know, their little carpet and stuff like that. Do their 5 times a day stuff and all that stuff. Like, these people really doing this stuff like that. Like, that's how they're on their Muslim whatever. You know, just like the Sikhs on his turban or whatever, the Jews on his yarmulke or whatever. Everybody's on their thing, like, regimented. It's not just, you know, today and then tomorrow. Then the next day they're gonna do it, and then the next day now we're gonna switch up and do all this other stuff. This is where we're at, as far as, you know, showing the distinction between us, Moors, and unconscious Moors.
Yeah, like, to scale back off of that, when we finished doing what we were doing, we packed up. So I guess like you said, the unconscious ones started coming in, and they started playing their little popcorn, you know, eating and, you know, so it's just like all of saved us in a way where it's like they kept those unconscious ones away to differentiate, and then when we were done doing our thing, they came in after, because they came late evening, right?
Yeah.
Started bumping the beats, drinking the liquor, unconscious stuff, right?
Yeah. Any other comments or questions with regard to divine origin?
One of the things I realized why it's so hard to talk to old people is because of what we know now and what we used to know with them. Now it's hard for us to keep talking the same thing with them, and some of what we know just get into it. So when some of our things get into the conversation, then it becomes like we lost. And that's a part of it makes it so hard, I think, to communicate. And we don't want to open up their eyes to see what they're saying, because they're still stuck in that. What we didn't know, all of us know that. The new thing now, they can't even get into it. It's making it hard to talk to them because they can't keep doing the same thing with them.
Somebody in the chat asks, how do the Moors connect to the Israelites? So if we use, for example, we'll just use Egypt, capital empire of the Dominion of Africa. The inhabitants of Africa are descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan. And the inhabitants of Africa are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan. Old man Cush and his family are the first inhabitants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan. His father Ham and his family were second. Then came the word Ethiopia, which means the demarcation line of the dominion of Amexem, the first true and divine name of Africa, the dividing of the land between father and son. So the Canaanites, when you look at the historical names that they say when they say the Canaanites and the Moabites and whoever, right? What they don't connect to is that the Israelites are directly a branch of the Canaanites. They don't stand on their own as if they're the founders of something. Right? They don't go to that place, because once they go there, then means there's no Israelites. You have to accept the fact that they're Canaanites, and then if we're all Canaanites, then that means we're all Moors. So what's the problem? Right? The second connection that they're not going to make is the Moorish Jews of Harlem, who are Hebrew Israelites. They're not saying Hebrew Israelites. They said they're Moorish Jews, which puts them in a whole different category than the Hebrew Israelites and where that goes as far as the school of thought or the doctrine. Right? The reality is the Canaanites and the Israelites are the same people. Right? The Canaanites and the Israelites are the same people. The so-called Hebrew Israelites are just the ones who crossed over. The crossover, the people who sold out, who want to be anything other than their foremothers and forefathers. Now they can bring up the thing about, yeah, they crossed over a river and all that type of stuff. Okay, yeah, all right. So they're still the same people. If you go across that street, Noir goes across that street, Noir Senior and Noir Junior are two different people now. They're different, right?
You know, honestly, a simple thing that I use with my own people, my own family, it's like growing up where brothers in where they call it Kingston, the city, bigger brothers, they leave the country part to the big city. Now, when they come back to the country, you call them tone man. Tone. And then we are a country man, country boy and tone boy. But tone boy and country boy is brother and two brothers.
Yeah.
From the same mother and father.
Yeah.
But because he was spend most of his later days in town, he's a tone man.
Yeah.
So it's just like what you're saying now.
Yeah.
Because he was over there,
he's a different.
Yeah. You just cross the street, make you be somebody else.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that's what I break it down as small as I can.
Small as that.
Yeah.
If you can't get that, then.
Yeah, where this Israelite, Hebrew, Moorish, all this people.
Yeah.
It's coming from the same thing.
Yeah.
Across the street.
Yeah.
So that's one thing why my
Yeah.
mother told me. And that's why my mother told me, why won't your brothers try acting like you?
Yeah.
Please, try the Moors and see. That's what she told me.
Yeah.
Why don't they try acting like you? Why don't? Because you got a birth right now. I give you a birth certificate, which I find out now that it's not even yours. I know you find out rights, then why don't you acting like you? That's what my mother told me. Don't go across the street from me, told man and a culture man. No, I'm just saying.
It's love.
I have a query. Well, so basically, in terms of us on the whole waking up here in the Northwest, what sort of impact will it have on the rest of the world on the whole, and the ones that awaken?
But one thing would be that our influence on others. Like, look at how we influence the world doing nigger stuff. Imagine we were doing some nationality and birthrights, how we do NBA or BET or whatever. The impact it would have on others seeing us being the people who, you know, they saw their granddad in pictures looking like her or whatever like that. You know? It's love. Yeah, you know, it's just on that level.
I guess I asked that just in reference to the fact that if you look at when Garvey came around, not Garvey, but most of the nation, well, when Noble Rally came, most of the nations of Africa basically accepted nationality.
Right.
Like they refer to themselves as a Nigerian, Ghanaian, or whatever. So they have a comprehension of nationality in that sense. So for us to undertake and take up who our true identity is, I guess the impact on the whole will have on the rest of the world. How will it, like, I guess, materialize down the line in terms of playing out a bigger picture, or working out into a more cohesive
Well, it goes back to the thing that Joali said with our brothers from the East coming to assist us. Let's say from that perspective, so that there's that ability to engage in commerce is not going to be something that we would have to initiate. They would see that we're ready to assist in ways, the same way that Farrakhan was talking nation, whatever, and then Gaddafi realized, oh, this guy's at least ready. He's saying nation, not really getting the full scope, right? But from the presentation perspective, from the presentation idea, they got 5 million just on they look like a nation. Not even that they are or whatever like that. This guy seems like that work for the black people or the whatever like that. Right? Well, you know, they got their women's auxiliary stuff going on. They got their mufti stuff going on. They got everything that would constitute a nation. They got a little flag. It might not be a real flag, but they're representing something. So that's the only real, because we don't really need anything like that. The only thing is that we've been in such a subjugated position for so long that we sort of everything that we're doing is limited. Like we're not doing anything in its full capacity, right? Like we're tiptoeing, other people are running. And then we see our tiptoeing as, oh, somebody's doing something to us to make us tiptoe or whatever. Well, no, all these people got nationality. And they're sitting back waiting like, okay, so when are the black guys going to get their nationality so we can take the world over as, the nations? And we can have a consensus from everybody who has a nationality that, okay, everybody knows who the enemy is, those guys over there. So let's remove these people. As far as the nations of the world, right? Because you can't have somebody else's stuff and then claiming that you're whatever. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we're the Jews and Hitler and whatever like that. Okay, so what about Palestinians? You can't talk about Hitler did something to you, but then Palestinians are getting murdered right in front of your face, and then you're not saying nothing about them. But then that's why you have allies or whatever, so that they can back your little BS and favor for a favor. When they need something, now they can give them something or whatever, and then that makes the whole world corrupt now. Because everybody has an ally who is a double spy, triple agent, whatever like that. Like how's anything gonna be? Which is why Joali said all the nations need to hear what I'm saying. Like I'm not just here for the Negroes only, even though I'm amongst them, and you know what I mean. We're putting one pair of pants on a horse at a time with our people, and then he had the example of Turks joining the Moorish Science Temple, Chinese joining the Moorish Science Temple, Japanese joining. Why they joining that for? As foreigners from somewhere else, that they come here and they're joining Noble Joali's thing. What is he really offering that they're saying, yeah, I'm gonna go join his thing? One, they're probably Muslim, so they see turbans, fezzes, and stuff like that. They feel right at home. Two, there's an actual infrastructure set up where they can be brought into exercising in government without having to deal with the foreigner. Because they already know that that's not who they should go to if they're coming here, because they know Europeans. You know, Christopher Columbus founded nothing over here. World knows that. Our people might play around like that's history or whatever. But world knows. Conquistadors came here, they found Moors here. Europeans from whatever, British, Irish, French, whoever, they came here, they dealt with the dark-skinned people here. They didn't deal with no Europeans. So how are we coming here and then we're dealing with Europeans as if they're who this stuff is about, right? When it's really about the copper-colored people coming back to their senses that we're not Negro black-colored and all this parading up and down the place. We're Moors. The world knows about this. They're waiting for us. They can't really say anything because if they say something, then they're going to lose their visa and get deported or whatever, right? Because they have contracts with same people who they know the enemy or whatever like that. Yes, they got contracts with them, but they know that I'm not going to mess up my contract. I'm going to mess up my, oh yeah, we can go to, Canada, United States, have a good life, no more bombs and all that type of stuff. And then they're going to come here and talk about, well, yeah, you're not Negro, black, color, and all that stuff. And then this man goes and tells, and then they get in trouble. You're not going through all that. No.
The Chinese guy break it down for me. He said, I'm Lee. When I met,
Yeah.
I just gravitated to me because of,
Yeah.
and actually help him out with something, which I did. Now, name thing, getting to the name, you say, yeah, you're right, that's European. You know what they did with us? You see how some of our people name L-E-E? Lee? I'm not that one. That's the Canadian Lee. I'm L-I. Original from my over here. So I don't take the Lee, L-E-E. I still have my L-I. Lee. That's what he's telling me. It's Lee. But it's not L-E-E. L-I.
What we call black. Or black and LI is supposed to be that. Like Jenny, that's what it means.
Yeah. That's what I was telling.
So it kind of off that.
Yeah.
So I had my thing with one of the service providers. So I had to go online to get this utility, right? So I'm trying to fill out where it says name and stuff. So I put EL. Computer system won't accept that. Being real. Try it again, like what? That's what's up. That's what I'm putting. I want to take it. So I pushed the space bar. So now that's 3 characters it recognizes as a name. And then it went through.
Wow.
So it's not only said that, that's what brought me back to that. So there's something with two character titles that they don't drive with here.
That's at the front. They do Mr.
I don't know, but they don't. Computer system, it's like they're not, it's almost like they know that title something.
Yeah.
And they're not accepting it. Right? Because they'll accept Ali. Right?
Yeah.
But they won't accept L.
It's the limit or something.
And they make their E into a three-letter E.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's only 2. I don't know.
Geometry of it.
Geometry.
Lines. Yeah.
Space bar.
Completely changed the whole thing.
I can get around that.
Right. So we had one of the he's looking for somebody else. The Dominion of Kush, northeast and southeast Africa, and northwest and southwest was his father's dominion of Africa. In later years, many of their brethren from Asia and the Holy Lands joined them. The Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit northwest Africa, they were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire. Right, so that's the transition that he's talking about. And Egypt fell, and then they gave the custodialship to the Moabites, that's their ancient name. modernly we call them Moors. There's no, there's nothing about any incest and all that type of stuff, because when you really look at it, if everybody's from one Asiatic woman, then what you mean everybody's not engaging in incest? It's all incest if everybody comes from one woman. So we can't just call out the Moabite incest and then not call out the world incest in order to justify we're not Moors. So it applies all across the board then, right? With their Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren who sojourned from the land of Canaan, seeking new homes. Right, so there it is again with the brethren from wherever. Just like yesterday, there was Moors from wherever. There would have been more Moors from wherever if there was no COVID or whatever. All the more said Islam, by the way, to everybody who was at the barbecue, and yeah, they missed it. You know what I mean? They're mad. They're upset. Everybody's mad that they missed it, but you know, the next round. Their dominion and inhabitation extended from northeast and southwest Africa, across the great Atlantis, even onto the present North, South, and Central America, and also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands, before the great earthquake which caused the great Atlantic Ocean. So this is the part where Noble Drew Ali is addressing the whole Havana, Cuba, and what he went there for, and the mandate that Noble Drew Ali got for the land and all this. This is it right here. This is the deed for the property called the Moroccan Empire, because only the Moors could be the holders of it. Nobody else could be the holder of it. Black guys can't be the holders of it because they're not tied to the empire. The NOI can't be the holders of it because you can't be a nation that's a religion, right? That's the issue that the Jews have, and that's why they have to buy their way around everything, because a religion can't be a nationality, but you could pay your way to have that be like that, right? Mentioning Atlantis, right? Across the great Atlantis, even onto the present North, South, Central America and Mexico and the Atlantis Islands. So if you go across Atlantis, obviously you have to go across the Atlantis Islands as well. And all that being part of the empire, which now, again, if Noble Drew Ali in the 20s was telling people you're not Negro, black, colored, and then they, being here, they join to be members. But then people from outside of here are also being members of it. Then this thing was probably a lot bigger than how it is even being presented. How is it that there's pictures of Mexicans, Cubans, you know, all these different nations in South America? They know about fezzes, they know about turbans, they know about tunics and pantaloons, and they know about all these things over there. It's all part of that connected history, that connected culture, just like the pattern that we saw yesterday. Oh yeah, since you were here too, just get your thoughts on yesterday with the barbecue and how everything was. I knew it too. I knew it. See,
Take a lesson.
Sir. Whatever I'm gonna say, everybody out there said the same stuff.
probably,
We all seen the same thing.
probably.
So, what do we see? What do we see? Great.
That's great.
That's just great.
And what does great stand for when you break it down?
Uh,
G stands for?
I'm not sure. I-
It's lost, so that's right.
Location, perfect location.
Right, so again, with the whole idea of who it is that we are, and everybody knows when we were, it was a little after, I think we were there that time when when the Iranians came over, everybody else was there too. So, you know, hey, what, are you guys a band or something? What you guys do here? Like, no, we're not a band or whatever. And then one of the other ones, because I guess there was a language barrier or whatever, one of the other ones was like, Marrakesh, Morocco. Like, yeah, Morocco here. It's like, yeah, Morocco, or whatever. So the idea of, you know, that we've had Brother Sheldon go around the world and get his examples of people outside of here knowing that they're in Morocco when they come over here, that they know that this is Morocco. They might not get how the connection is, how it's over here in Morocco and over there in Morocco, but they know that there was a time when the Americas was part of Morocco. What they would say greater Morocco. Right? Morocco, the farthest west. So this paradigm that we're involved in is there's, you know, a tsunami of history in everybody else's culture that includes us to build that same unity thing with them now. Because now we're not just talking about Negro, black, colored unity. We're talking about everybody whose turbans and fezzes now unified. Because we have our stuff together. Because we have our specific or the specificity of our nationality is in harmony with them. It's not a thing where they have to look at us and guess, or are they? I wonder if as soon as they see it, they know. All right, we could actually work with them. We could do things with them on the level of, you know, world problems being solved, not just in specific locations, but the world issues being able to be dealt with, because you have the ones who are of sound mind and then they're morally correct or whatever like that are the ones who are ruling or doing the things for society, opposed to the cutthroat people or whatever who they got today, that today they're going to tell you the laws or whatever like that, and then tomorrow they're breaking it. And again, all this is going to this idea of when, like, we're the missing piece to world peace. Like, we're the gap, because you can't want peace but then marching up and down the place saying no peace. You're not gonna get it saying you don't have it. Like, you have to want it to get it. You can't have justice yelling no justice. Right? So when we put out our call is our presentation. Our call is we know those are Moors. There's no question as to who it is that we are. There's no guessing as to who we are. And once we say that we're Moors, we're being tied to the Moroccan Empire. Nobody's looking at us as the kingdom people. Only like trolls online and stuff like that are gonna say, he can't be Morocco because the kingdom is Morocco and you don't look like them and all this. Everybody knows that. Once it's dark-skinned people and they got feathers turbans, that's Moroccan Empire. They're not going with the perceived notion of a fez is a shriner or a fez is a whatever. They already know Moroccan Empire. And they're waiting. They're not going to deal with everybody as a whole like that. They're going to deal with the individuals who know. The ones who don't know, then they're going to be under Negro Acts, Black Codes, and all the Christian BS that they're under as that jurisdiction. Our jurisdiction is, we got deed right here that we're in the Moroccan Empire. Nobody else had any authority to talk about it but Noble Juali. Nobody could talk about it but the Sultan. Who else is going to talk about it from that perspective? But the emperor of the empire that everybody cast away as if, you know, this was some religious organization or whatever. And, you know, the pressures that we get exercising as this is due to ancient foremothers and forefathers and what it is these people know is going to go down when the Moors get back in power. Right? Even if it's done under the 5 principles, these people are going to have problems because a lot of the things that they were doing and thought they would do, they won't be able to do it anymore because all that stuff is based in contracts. And you can't contract with the people if they volunteer not to contract. And that's the whole status correction. That I don't need to contract with you like that. Oh, you have something? Oh.
Just that on that, that's from yesterday. I just noticed that there was a peace plaque, you know, and it said compassion, communication, generosity, and love have the power to heal our world and all people together.
Sorry, read that again. Oh, the mural, the little mural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peace plaque. So it says compassion, communication, generosity, and love have the power to heal our world and bring all people together. So when I thought of that, instantly I thought of them, like having to tell, if they were putting this up, that means they're willing to tell us the truth, right? We're saying communication, right, which is truth, right? So I just had a thought in my head, okay, if they're gonna put this up, that means if we bring that, we're, you know, present ourselves as such, you know, that we're, you know, honoring our ancestors, and they have no choice but to tell the truth. They're putting these things out to give us those little jewels that, you know, that we're willing to tell you the truth if you're willing to live by the truth. Right? Seems like that's what we still want.
Yeah, so just to reiterate that when we say Moors, we're actually tying ourselves to something that is supposed to be not talked about. Everybody know about the Moroccan Empire. All they know is about Kingdom of Morocco over there, and that's it, as far as Morocco is concerned. Right? So know that you can use what Juali brought, say Moroccan Empire, because we know nobody else spoke about it, nobody else talked about it, nobody else brought it up. Then all of a sudden, he brings up Moroccan Empire. Now we can go out there and we could find out some books on Moroccan Empire that these people been wrote and all that. And those books been there. And the only reason we looked it up because we heard Juali say it. Other than that, we didn't know anything about no Moroccan Empire. much less how we're connected to it and how we're tied to it from not just the historical perspective, but for everything. Whether you're spirituality, religion, horticulture, whatever. Don't know how to run a zoo. The Moors had zoos before anybody had a zoo. The Moors been had animals hanging on a rope and all that type of stuff. It ain't eagle just landing on their hand and all this. You know, this is part of our who we are that everybody knows. You know, you think they want to see people coming out here on elephants, riding on elephants or whatever? These people gonna have problems. You Hannibal up in there? Get your game up. Your brother Lord, you got a comment? All right.
Was that a piece that the lady yesterday that was doing a little piece, I think?
Yeah.
Just, she said she never heard of no job.
Yeah.
She never let them know.
Right.
And I told her too, I never heard of them either. Many more other people from Muhammad and Marcus and all these people, I never heard of them. And that's the one who let us know who we are.
Yep. That's why he has to get his honors. Because and then when you think about that
You see this guy's gonna go out, right?
good size, huh? That's a big one.
It's full moon, eh? You know that, right? Full moon right now.
That time right now, the freaks come out, bro.
Well, something. No, I think it was one of those,
They look like a iguana, I think. They look like iguana. Yeah. The river Nile was dredged and made by the ancient pharaohs of Egypt in order to trade with the surrounding kingdoms. Also, the Niger River was dredged by the great pharaoh of Egypt in those ancient days of trade, and it extends eastward from the river Nile, westward across the great Atlantic. It was used for trade and transportation. Right? How the Niger River was dredged by the great pharaoh of Egypt in those ancient days for trade. It extends eastward from the river Nile, westward across the great Atlantic. According to all true and divine records, according to all true and divine records of the human race, there is no Negro, black, or colored race attached to the human family, because all the inhabitants of Africa were and are of the human race, descendants of the ancient Canaanites, of the ancient Canaanite nation from the Holy Land of Canaan. What your ancient forefathers were, you are today without doubt or contradiction. There is no one who is able to change man from the descendant nature of his forefathers, unless his power extends beyond the great universal creator Allah himself. These holy and divine laws from the Prophet Noble Jew Ali, the founder of the Uniting of the Moorish Science Temple of America. These laws are to be strictly preserved by the members of all temples of the Moorish Science Temple of America, that they would learn to open their meeting and guide it according to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Every subordinate temple of the Grand Major Temple is to form under the covenant of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and to create their own laws and customs in conjunction with the laws of the Holy Prophet and the Grand Temple. I, the Prophet Noble Jew Ali, was sent by the great God Allah to warn all Asiatics of America to repent from their sinful ways, before the great and lawful day that is sure to come. The time has come when every nation must worship under his own vine and fig tree, and every tongue must confess his own. Through sin and disobedience, every nation has suffered slavery, due to the fact that they honored not the creed and principles of their forefathers. That is why the nationality of the Moors was taken away from them in 1774, and the word Negro, black, and colored was given to the Asiatics of America who were of Moorish descent, because they honored not the principles of their mother and father and strayed after the gods of Europe, of whom they knew nothing. There is no one who is able to change man from the descendant nature of his forefathers, unless his power extends beyond the great universal creator Allah himself. So once we tie ourselves to our ancient foremothers and forefathers, before we go, since you missed since you missed the intro, we just need to find out how yesterday was, and you know, let us know how your day was yesterday.
This is Mama Mocha. Yesterday was powerful. Every year it gets better. We get more and more people coming to, you know, gather with us, and COVID or no COVID, we were out there, and we had, I mean, the same, always good food, always lots of good food. The weather was, you know, perfect. The weather was, the spot, Omar, I couldn't have picked a better spot. So most places you go now, you go down to the beach and it's crowded and there's no parking and this and that. But this place was lovely, lots of green, lots of trees, lots of shade, and we had the lake. It was just beautiful, and all the children, you know, that was the icing on the cake. It was great. So thanks everybody that put it together. And thanks everybody for coming. All the people that came from near and far.
Thank you. So there's no one who is able to change man from the descendant nature of his forefathers, unless his power extends beyond the great universal creator Allah himself. So we already know that anybody have that power but Allah. So as soon as they try to take us away from our stuff, it's like we're saying, we don't even have a 5-minute conversation with people anymore. You know, like Joy said, if you can't flee, drop the world out, because that's the only option that we have right now. You know, because majority of the time they don't want to hold you there and try to talk about some, you know, whatever, has nothing to do with anything. Nationality and birthrights not even in the conversation, but you know, they want to talk about that for 5 hours, right? And not deal with how we could fix our issues, how we could get certain things in place so that, you know, for, you know, so the children, because we don't want to go home. Why we gotta go home for? Right? That'll be everyday occurrence for them.
Tell them mosquitoes coming out, so no.
Don't worry about no mosquitoes.
The way we moving, they can't catch us.
Yeah.
They can't catch us.
Right. No. So, you know, with you know, we were talking about when we were coming up here, the whole thing of, you know, we're saying that we're Moors, and there's still this battle that we got to deal with. You know, they still have certain powers that they can, you know, exercise at any time, just because they can. You know, but regardless of what, you know who our foremothers and forefathers are and were, and even those people's hands don't extend past the great universal creator Allah. So to attempt to try to change us, to attempt to try to get us to be something that we're not, is them going against Allah, not even against us or Moors or whatever. They're not even going against us like that. Because if our prophet came from Allah and our prophet said we're not Negro black colored, then that's Allah's message.
Of course.
Right? These laws are to be strictly preserved by the members of all the temples of the Moorish Science Temple of America, that they would learn to open their meetings and guide it according to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Every subordinate temple of the Grand Major Temple is to form under the covenant of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Right? So that's the theme that everybody else out there does not. They got the justice over here, and then they got the peace over here, and then the truth is down there, but they don't really want it because they're not ready for truth yet. But they're woke and they know their self and they're whatever. But the truth part, they don't want to do it, right? And then when we present all of them together, we realize it's the international people who really realize what it is that we're presenting and who we are and how we're presenting it, and they don't even have any question.
I just want to mention this. I have a friend from Senegal, and people are always saying that yes, there are black people. If you go to certain countries in Africa, you find black people. You know what I mean? And they always name Senegal and Sudan. For some reason, they always name these. So I said to her, back home, did you ever identify as black? She said no. She said no. She says only when I came here I started learning about this whole black thing and the shadism and all that. Yeah. We didn't have that back home. We were Senegalese. That's what she said. Yeah. I mean, and all these people that are claiming to be black and also claiming to be African
from over there.
You can't have it both ways because Africans are not calling themselves black. They never did. So make up your mind. What are these? You know what I mean? I just had to throw that in. So I just came up, it just hit me again, yeah. Well, if you go to Senegal, the people are black, who black? And if you go here, when you talk to a Senegalese and you ask them, are you black? Have you ever been black? They tell you no. It's plain and simple.
Just like our Sri Lankans that are here.
Yes.
Darker than us.
Yes.
You can't call them black.
That's right.
This is our present eyes right now.
Yeah.
In our present time we see today's day, they're darker than us from Sri Lanka, but you cannot call them black.
That's right.
And it's funny you mentioned those two countries like Senegal and Sudan. Actually, there's like when you look at the French dictionary, you're looking at more, right? And it's spelling the URE. They come with the normal thing, the Berbers and the Arab people of North Africa. But then they said specifically, and the people of Senegal and Sudan. Yeah. Under the definition of war in the French dictionary. To tell you straight. I was like, what?
The black thing is a North American construct. Nobody else has called themselves black. So you can't say I'm an African, and I'm an African this, I'm an African that, and I'm black, because it's a contradiction.
You so many crossover from so-called Jamaica. It's when I come here, they call people black.
Yeah,
you don't say that when
I know.
in Jamaica, we never call people black.
We know you're not black.
We never call our children kids. Because we know they go there. I know. Yeah. We never do that. It's here I come here. Kids and black and no.
You even like that. Like tar, right? Like Jamaica's tar, right?
Yeah.
Tar. Even that was like very offensive.
Yeah.
Very offensive to say not black tar. Like,
Not
black tar. It's like a vulgar that language. Yeah.
It doesn't exist, it's caste system. They definitely see shade.
Yeah.
But not, doesn't start at black and end someplace else. Yeah.
Only ask anybody from anywhere else.
And then they take it back with them. People who come here and live here, and then they take it back home with them. And I've seen it there.
Visitors going there too.
Visitors.
Because I remember one lady, she was 80-some years old when she was telling me, because I'm on the phone with another lady, discussing this kids thing. And then I said, I can't talk to you. She's younger than the one that I want to talk to. So I tell her, listen, give her the phone. And whatever the phone cut off, then she called back and I said, give her the older lady the phone. When I give her the phone about the kid thing now, she started to laugh. She said to me, you know, the first time I hear about children called kids, a lady came from up where you are. You're Canada? Yeah. Come from Canada.
Yeah.
Come down to Jamaica. Come visit. Then she see one of Peggy's daughter, like a friend named Peggy.
Yeah.
She see Peggy's daughter. So she tell her, look, that's Peggy's daughter. Because Peggy and her grow up together. So now she said, I'm Peggy's daughter. And she looked at her and she's asking the little girl, how many kids your mother have? How many kids Peggy have? She goes, the little girl goes to her, my mother has one mother goat and 2 kids. So then that's been the first time she hear about you calling them children kids. So she's telling them that in Canada they call the children kids. But when you come to Jamaica, ask the girl how many kids your mother have, she says she has 1 mother goat and 2 kids. You know? And that's the first time. So then she tells one that having a hard time understanding what I'm saying. It's true, they never used to call them children kids.
Yeah.
That's the first time she heard. And she was laughing about it. First time she heard that.
It's in English. There, when we talk, it's really different animals. It's kids. People has kids. So for you to come here and associate it's like
It sounds foreign when you change your perspective and then you hear people speak and they're referring to children as kids. It almost sounds wrong. It's offensive. It's offensive. Absolutely offensive. And I work with children in a sea of people. We refer to all of those children as kids. And a piece of me just kind of you know? Yeah.
Last thing though, when you ask the Africans, the one that be living here for all the time, if they're African American, they're out 10 years. What are you doing over in America? Are you African American? They're like, hell no. Hell no. They don't ask any one of them to ask them right away. They know. Even the little young ones. I work with Nigerians doing shipping, and some little young ones came out of the house and I was talking about nationality. I'm asking, are you African American? No. Maybe even the young ones know that they're not that. Because that's just black. They're black. They know we're not that. You know what I mean? So my thing is that if they're not African American, how the hell can I know?
Yeah.
I mean African.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're gonna say, African American. These guys came from Africa.
So you never even been there.
Yeah, you're not African, right?
Yeah.
I'm here, stay here.
Never been to Africa. Never been there. Never been there.
It's mad. Actually crazy.
End of time and the fulfilling of the prophecies. The last prophet in these days is Noble Ali, who was prepared divinely in due time by Allah to redeem men from their sinful ways, and to warn them of the great wrath which is sure to come upon the earth. John the Baptist was the forerunner of Jesus in those days, to warn and stir up the nation, and prepare them to receive the divine creed which was to be taught by Jesus. In these modern days there came a forerunner of Jesus, who was divinely prepared by the great God Allah, and his name is Marcus Garvey, who did teach and warn the nations of the earth to prepare to meet the coming prophet, who was to bring the true and divine creed of Islam, and his name is Noble Ali, who was prepared and sent to the earth by Allah to teach the old-time religion and the everlasting gospel to the sons of men, that every nation shall and must worship under their own vine and fig tree, and return to their own and be one with their Father God Allah. The Moorish Science Temple of America is a lawfully chartered and incorporated organization. Any subordinate temple that desires to receive a charter the prophet has them to issue to every state throughout the United States, etc., that the world may hear and know the truth, that among the descendants of Africa there is still much wisdom to be learned in these days, for the redemption of the sons of men under love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. We, as a clean and pure nation, descended from the inhabitants of Africa, do not desire to amalgamate or marry into the families of the pale-skinned nations of Europe, neither serve the gods of their religion, because our forefathers are the true and divine founders of the first religious creed for the redemption and salvation of mankind on earth. Therefore, we are returning the church and Christianity back to the European nations as it was prepared for their forefathers for their earthly salvation, while we, the Moorish Americans, are returning to Islam, which was founded by our forefathers for our earthly divine salvation. The covenant of the great God Allah: honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the earth land which the Lord thy God hath given thee. Come, all ye Asiatics of America, and hear the truth about your nationality and birthrights, because you are not Negroes. Learn of your forefathers' ancient and divine creed, that you will learn to love instead of hate. We are trying to uplift fallen humanity. Come and link yourselves with the families of nations. We honor all true and divine prophets. Islam. So just told us, the Moorish Science Temple of America is a lawfully chartered and incorporated organization. Right now, that's what it is, but that's not all that it is. So there's the branch of Moors who, that's where they are, chartered lawful organization, and then that's it. This is not anything else but that, right? And then you just keep going into the broader jurisdiction. You know, they have the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, then the civic-minded Moors, and they're doing the religious corporation, whatever thing is. The Moorish Divine National Mood, which is a broader perspective. The Moorish Empire, which is, you know, global, right? So the point of the destabilization of the movement was to get all of the Moorish Science temples, anything Moorish related, to be restricted to just religious exercise, and then that's it, right? And we had, you know, the master teachers who started opening up Pandora's box with regard to this Moorish paradigm. Now you know about the history of it, and the science of it, and the metaphysics of it, and it's bigger than some religion. And this is where it's supposed to be at, because it's about our full unfoldment as Moors, not, you know, a one petal and then everything else is closed up, as if that's a reality, right? So we're constantly ever evolving when we're, you know, Moorish Empire. Moorish Science Temple, you're limited in what you're doing or what you can be, because the incorporated whatever is a box. It's a construct that has its place, but it can't be used as the all and be all. This is where, you know, even Moorish Science Temple got in trouble, because they're trying to be like, you know, on the level of NOI with Moorish Science Temple, when everybody knows that when you're talking Moors, it's a nation. It's not limited to you have a building and then the building and then the convention. Everybody come to the convention and then that's it. This is about expanding the building to no walls. Is the Moorish Science Temple where it's supposed to be at?
Yeah, man.
Omar, you had something?
I was just saying, like, one of the faculties or the objects of the actual corpse, physical construct, was the doorway into nationality, right? That's what, in a sense,
Right, yeah,
it evolved.
yeah.
One of its aspects, whether complete, whether you looked at all the modalities or singly, was the venue to liken it to if you want to come here to Canada to become a Canadian citizen. You go to one of those buildings, they'd sit you down in these classes, they would instruct you on all those things. You take a test, you'd have to get over 85%, then you'd have some swearing in thing, and that's kind of exactly what this part of this, a major part of this is. So in the background like that, the building, you might have an area where there'd be a church, or like a place to gather, maybe
A worship.
on some sort of things. You might then have an area over the other side to start doing business, all that kind of stuff. And that's what's kind of laid out in the administrative handbook. But showing you that that's really, it's just the doorway. And then, like you see, it opens up into a huge field.
Yeah.
The field being the world to you.
So, you know, and we're talking about, you know, the things that we do as far as the cultural aspect of the things that we do is all part of our nationhood. You know, it's part of our reigniting what it used to be when people would see Moors. You know, if it was limited to just this building, there would be nothing. There would be no pictures on the wall and stuff like that. It would just be limited to just in this place. All the pictures here for everything, which is extremely stifling. If you really want to say we're a nation, then it should be about being with where the other nations are at, and none of them are trapped in their building when it comes to some nationhood. You know, none of them are limited to the mosque because they're Muslim. No, they go outside of the mosque too. Like, you know what I mean? So this is where it is that we're at. We want to open up. If anybody has any questions, feel free to present those. Any other comments or anything like that?
Sorry, what would be our government called?
The government would, well, if we look at it as our jural society, our government our government is self-government.
Right, so we're gonna have a name.
It's not called anything like that. But if we were to call related to something governmental, it would be Great Seal. Great Seal government. Because that would tie to pyramid and, you know what I mean, isonomy and certain things that we know that they know where we're going, even though they're not going to go there with it.
Right.
But we'll put the insignia on the paperwork and stuff like that, so that they know where we're coming from. You know what I mean? But it's not even limited to Great Seal, because when you go check Great Seal, some of those people in that are defunct or whatever, or doing dirty stuff or whatever. So it's not like, you know, that's why Drew Ali was making reference to creating your own laws. Once it's in conjunction with what the Prophet laid down and whatever, then you do what you got to do, and then that's your government, you know. But to name it in that sense, we're looking at Great Seal being the government, and then that's more a type of activity than you know, what our people say, you know, when they see Doug Ford and they say that's government, or they see mayor and they say that's government, or they see prime minister and they say that's government, right? Omar, yeah.
I was just saying that I sort of thought I saw, and maybe this is part of what you're reflecting, is that Great Seal is reflective of the symbol of the government that was here, that is here. That's just in sort of now because of its, so yet again, it's on a lower level, but then again, because of its marrying up with the European Guild, which is the eagle on the plate, is our symbol of that. And now it's calling it Great Seal, or it could be the Marrakesh government or whatever it is, but it's still reflective of the governing body, or a symbol of the governing body that was here. And then somewhere there you go to some place, you dig it up, and there'd be like this chest, and you open it up, and it'd have all the governmental stuff with the Great Seal, and you could just start operating. That's how I see it. And from the perspective of, because remember, he says that you're supposed to go in conjunction with the head laws. You're supposed to go to your area and do your stuff. To me, that's reflective of what the states are. The states were that. California, New York, whatever, that was the state, that was the corporate side of it. But he's saying really to the individuals, to the Moors, go out into your areas, call them what you want, as long as it's in conjunction with the federal,
Then you're
you make your
good.
stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
But
So it's really our language for what they coded, it's our language and it's codified in that, but it's reflected in what they're doing with the federal government and the states and all that stuff. It's really our stuff. They're trying to pretend it's something different. Morocco was just telling you, hey, just keep in line with the Canadian government and go off and make your own laws. But that's where I differ a little bit. I kind of see the seal as being a representative of what our government, that's what would be our government seal. So I see a little more, I think what I'm trying to say is I see a little more important, not importance to it, but I see it much more of a symbol. So very important that we should be looking to resurrect almost in a sense.
Not that it can't be represented. It's just like with that, we say Drawley said, every more take your stuff, go in or whatever, and then people took the stuff and now they're assaulting of some Maxim Feathers empire that they got people joining up to that, thinking that that's what it's about, because that individual went and then they created their own laws and whatever like that, and then they can say that that's what it is, but that's not really what it is like that. But you just made that yesterday. Drawley been here since whatever, and then plus flag go back 10,000 years. Why you gonna make something new? Why you just wave the Moroccan flag? You have to make no new flag up. Wave the Moroccan flag and say your government or whatever. But then if they do that, they can't really do that because Drawley comes with all that. So they're gonna have to create their own thing and try to pretend as if they're doing something relative to Moorish government or whatever, when it's not that, because you already played yourself by not going with the laws that was laid down by the prophet. So you got the federal laws, then you got the laws laid down by the prophet, and then he said go in conjunction with the laws that I laid down and the law that's already there, go do your own stuff, and then you're gonna avoid all his stuff, and then only say United States Code and whatever, or you know what I mean? UN declarations and all that stuff, but you got no Noble Drawley stuff in there. Like you don't even have his picture or nothing like that. But you want it to have the same power, it's not gonna work like that. Because he's the man. He laid it down before everybody else. So anybody after him should either be given supreme honors to him or doing the exact same thing that he was doing.
And give them supreme honor.
Right? Yeah.
The seal, after the seal, they're from the seal.
Yeah.
And they have the Illuminati using. The Illuminati using the sign, the symbol.
Yeah.
And then when our people see, they're scared of it because they say,
because they think, yeah.
You think about it.
Yeah.
And it's our stuff.
Yeah.
And some of the crazy dollar that they're all looking for.
Yeah. And you know what the joke is? When you look up Illuminati seal, it's not a pyramid that they're gonna show.
No.
That has nothing to do with anything. People made that look like that. But Illuminati themselves, they don't use that as this is our symbol, we're the Illuminati, this is our symbol. People have said, oh, well, because it says this, and there's 13 blocks in this thing, and then there's whatever. And then the eye, and they relate it to the things they see like that in Masonry. Right. Not connecting that it's the other way. The Masons took the stuff from the Great Seal and made up the Masonry stuff. And, the seal is really the Illuminati, not those guys who they're trying to put it to, because the seal represents the Enlightenment, right?
Is there something out there, like with some government, well, United States official or something, talking about why it's even on the dollar bill? or someone saying something about it?
Well,
I don't wanna say nothing.
how they talk about it is that the Great Seal is the eagle, and the pyramid is the reverse.
You mean
Because the two seals is supposed to be a coin, the head and the tail. That's why they have the both of them there, right? So when you
You don't
flip
say
it
why
around,
it's on it, though?
yeah, they wouldn't put it like that. They put it as,
What specific pyramid is
yeah, they put it as
Conspiracists kind of talk about it. There's
Yeah.
an old school documentary called Secret Society. The Europeans in the dark room.
with the wasn't that the Prophecy Club or whatever? Prophecy Club, wasn't it?
I don't remember.
When they had the
I thought it was called Secret Society because
no, the actual place where the people who were doing it was called Prophecy Club, but it was
I don't even know.
dark and it was in a they were at a podium with a
Talk
podium.
about all the symbols, talk about the shell,
Yeah.
sign, every sign he breaks down.
Yeah, I think that was Prophecy Club.
More or less just conspiracists who build on that stuff, like someone who might have been in the government before, but not someone who's there now.
Yeah.
And I know the Great Seal, the corporation used to be a phoenix.
Mm,
It's not
right.
real, right?
Yes.
So,
Right. Yeah.
The phoenix, they usually use the phoenix as a copy of the eagle, right? Because the soars above, it can't do it. I mean, with the phoenix, that's what they use the eagle. Symbolize the phoenix, but it's not.
Yeah.
Interesting. But that, it's just all part of the same thing, where people who, when Nur started the conversation about that, it has to do with, the people who go with that type of, belief system are people that don't study. They don't study anything. They hear something here and there. It's like the swastika. That's another piece, right? Every time it's like the what you call it, you see at the pharmacist, the
caduceus, yeah.
Yes. All of these things, and even at Women's College Hospital, they got they're off. Now there was something called the Rainbow Coalition back in the 70s, that had to do with people of different nationalities getting together. They taken the rainbow and it symbolizes something entirely different. So but then, people look at the rainbow today and say, let's say I have a rainbow flag in my window, they'd say, well, you're happy not trying to put anybody down, don't get me wrong. But I might have had that rainbow flag 30 years ago, but it meant something completely different. But people just take what they hear and know from now and what they heard, hearsay, and they don't dig into anything, they don't research anything. And then they don't, you can't speak to them. It's like you're talking a different language because there's no common ground at all. It's the same thing, the black and the Negro and more thing.
Just tell them to come up right now. So close out, then they can go back in.
They don't.
They know the hairs physically, but they don't really hear.
Right. Yeah, there's an opposition, there's a resistance.
They don't want to know.
They don't want, they're comfortable, they're too comfortable, and we're telling them something uncomfortable now. You gotta change, you gotta study, you gotta work. They don't wanna do it. They just don't wanna do it. So stay with us.
They talk about it, set up meetings and stuff with whoever the words. Remember the word of our district?
Oh yeah. We had one conversation with
I called Mark, she never called me back.
with one of them. Yeah, we had a conversation with one of them in the week. So we're gonna update with regard to that. So we're looking at. Hey Omar, you leaving?
No, it's
No, we're about to. I'm about to close. Yeah, I'll just close out so we could get some chill time in. We were saying town hall. We're two
town hall.
2 weeks
we're
or 3 weeks or something.
So we're here for the next couple of weeks. So we'll get back to you on that. We're looking at sometime in the next month to have town hall. Some of the issues that we're looking at. I don't know if we're talking more about community garden. And then maybe some other stuff moving forward. The community garden is one of them, and maybe this event, sleepover for the children at the end of the summer. And just informing everyone we'd like to look at an in the park series. So in a couple of weeks, will be in one of the parks, Christie Pitts, High Park, or Park in Hamilton. 2 weeks after that again, so this will just keep us in and outside as well to enjoy the weather.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, it's gonna be there. But yeah, town hall within the next month, I would say. We'll get back to you next week.
Yeah.
On those dates.
Yeah, and any stuff that comes up between now and then, we could just bring it up for town hall. Also, with regard to the petition stuff, in the week there'll be an email update with regard to the petition and stuff like that. Was there anything?
Oh, yeah, just petition, that was it? Yeah, I guess, yeah, that's it for now.
So do everyone's reconvene or recommence school next weekend, starting on Saturday again.
All right.
To the parents, just so you can see what they're saying.
Yeah.
We start next Saturday. It'll be a different time, but their time from 5 from 12 o'clock to 5.
Okay. Proper.
We found a little space too that's not too far that we could actually go. Have some of them meeting there too. But we want to travel and go to those places too, like where you're mentioning. Right by
What is around here?
yeah, by the course there.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah. So we could just do.
Water park there, basketball court.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, so we could organize for some meet up here, and then we just take a walk down there, do the outdoor class.
We go to walk, walking together down.
Yeah.
There's a big back street, but you could take everything all the way down.
Just right after Kiel. Yeah.
What's over there?
He'll turn it into Chichuri type.
Yeah.
That's where it is?
Yeah, right there.
That's what you're talking about?
Yeah.
The field and the school right there?
Yeah. Because it's like, it's actually it's bigger when you're whipping by, why might you won't even know. But it's 2 kind of sections too.
Mhm.
Space.
All right. Sleepy.
Close up?
You ready? Where's the other one? You ready? Let's go, bro. It's your time now.
Peace, Morris. You guys saw it's our twins first, sir? It's a white t-shirt. And you.
Go ahead, Maximus. You got this.
5 on the left, 4 on the right.
Left, one, right.
Allah, Father of the universe.
Allah, Father of the universe.
The Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth.
Peace.
Freedom.
Freedom.
And justice.
And justice.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide.
My guide.
And my salvation.
And my salvation.
By night.
By night.
And by day.
And by day.
Through his holy prophet.
Through his holy prophet. Noble Israelite. Islam. Ashe. Ashe. Islam, Morris. It's a love, early one today. I know, see this man? Out of it. That's out of it. Islam, Morris. It's the love. So any questions, email canaanlandguide@gmail.com. If you got any questions. Islam, Morris.
Just that maybe we should have a meeting. Or the problem is that with these experiences, there's COVID